Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Do you have your coffee? I have my coffee. It's going to be a great week as we kick off December officially. I've got some notes on what all these kids are learning in classes, and we're going to go through each, out of focus, each and every one of these classes and talk that through. And then hopefully it'll be quick today. I don't know why I'm out of focus. Hopefully that changes. Not a lot to show you, although I'm going to show you a little bit of what the Drawing 101 kids are doing. I brought some examples because we don't have any projects to show. It is watercolor month for our multimedia students, which is Miss Allison's favorite. So I'm pretty excited about that. Before we get started, let's see. I'll tell you, it is a normal schedule for everybody this week. We've had a lot of weird things going on because of the Thanksgiving holiday that messed up November. This is a normal week. Everybody's meeting at their normal times. Nobody has any off days. And almost everybody's on the same schedule. The Friday people are just a day ahead because they started last week. But everybody else is on their week 1 of December. I want to give a shout out to our Kearney Bulldogs and our Liberty North Eagles who won their respective state football championships over the weekend. My son plays for Liberty North, and so it was all football all weekend, and it was amazing and awesome. And so if anybody is part of that as a fan or family or a player, congratulations, you guys. Quite an honor and super excited for you. So let's chat about all of these classes. You ready? We'll dive right in. So my preschool classes, this is like a holiday theme month for us. We do a lot of Christmassy and wintry and gift giving and cozy little projects. This is an example of one of the projects that we're working on. It's going to take us the whole month. And actually, this is still in step 2. It's missing the 3rd step, which is the snow paint. It's from a previous year. I had to go dig it up from 2019. But you can see it's a landscape. So we get to talk about the horizon, which is a concept that we'll introduce, and we'll talk more about it in January when we read Freight Train. Talk about the parts of a landscape, the horizon, the sky, noticing that the sky meets the land, and that point is called a horizon. That is a watercolor background with salt on it. And when you sprinkle salt on wet watercolors, it makes this kind of crystallized effect. And so the salt hits the water when it's wet, and it sucks all the water next to each individual salt granule. When it does that, it pulls the pigment with it as well. So when we let it dry and then brush the salt off around each individual salt granule where it was, it has this kind of starburst effect, which is really cool. So we'll do that for the background this week, and then we'll get started on doing those trees. Now, in previous years, and this is an example of one of those, we've collaged tissue paper squares onto paper in order to make our trees, and then of course they're cut. But this year we're doing it with bleeding tissue, which is a special type of tissue paper which bleeds when it gets wet. So we're gonna wet our paper since it is watercolor month, and then place all of those squares. Once it's dry, you pull them off, and they've left their pigment and their kind of square print to them. It's really cool. So we're gonna do that this year instead of actually gluing the tissue paper squares to it. Once those are done, we cut them into trees and then decorate them and add snow paint. So first 2 steps, the background and the collaging of tissue paper for the trees, that is happening this week. And then it'll take us the full month to get that wrapped up. So it's a really fun project. It makes a pretty kind of holiday project. They are reading the Mitten. What is it? It's the Mitten for week 1 by Jan Brett. And then there's a bunch of great animals in it. And then our Friday people who are a week ahead, they did the Mitten last week. They're doing Mistletoe, which is a really silly story. Hopefully people enjoy that. We do a lot of laughs. My multimedia kids, like I said, they are doing watercolors this month. I've got a picture here. This is from 2018, maybe. This has been a while since we've done this project, so this is a fun one for our K1, 2nd, 3rds, and K through 3rds. They're gonna be doing a spiral watercolor. It's a wet on wet kind of chain of colors that go together, and then they kind of draw back from our November curriculum and do doodles using gel pens that have a little bit of a shimmer to them, and we'll get designs all over those. So it's a really great kind of abstract application of watercolor paints. Watercolor paints are Miss Allison's favorite. They are deceptively difficult. You think, oh, these are easy because this is what we've been painting with since we were kids. But they're really, watercolors do what they want to do, and they're tough to control. So you got to just learn to let it go. All the classes in multimedia are doing the exact same thing in their first week, and it is just a lesson in the paints. And so we've got kind of a bunch of exercises for them to work through in order to get familiar with these paints. And then hopefully when they go to execute their project, they're not as frustrated with it. So this week is just practice and getting learning to load the brush with paints, learning to wake up your paints, learning to load your brush, learning to erase, which is a really important step. Learning how to make colors lighter or darker by adjusting your water to pigment ratio, because we don't use white when we paint in watercolors, we use water. Learning how to drop in colors, learning how to blend two colors. The younger kids, the K through thirds, will probably not get into glazing, but our older kids will. And then I think that's it. I'm looking at my notes here. That's a lot of stuff from previous years. This is one of everybody's favorite weeks because it is just a time to play and explore watercolor paint. So they'll probably come home with a painting this week, unless it's really, really wet. Just because, I mean, if it's really wet, we'll hang on to it. But otherwise, they'll probably come home with one. And just know that's just their practice. They'll start their actual project in week 2. All right, my 4th and 5th, my homeschool artists. We talked about what the younger K through 3rd grades classes are doing. My 4th and 5th in my homeschools, their project is also wet on wet, but it's a little bit more objective. So it's going to actually be a subject as opposed to an abstract design. Their subject is holiday ornaments, or shiny baubles is what we're gonna call them. So they will paint orbs, circular-ish, round-ish shapes of color and get that to swirl together. Once those are dry, we'll add all of our details using the glazing techniques, as well as some inking techniques. And then the last step uses glitter, because why not? Oh, and I have some metallic watercolors that are really pretty on these. My big kids, my 6th through 6th, 7th, and 8th through 12th are doing a silhouette with a sunset background. Although I say sunset, and it doesn't have to be a sunset. It can be any type of gradient. So if you wanted to go from purple to green instead of your traditional sunset, that's just fine. We just want to see a gradient background. Watercolors are brilliant for gradients, or ombres, as the kids call it, right? They're brilliant for that. They're so good, but it's trickier than it seems like it should be. And so we're going to practice that a little bit this week, and then next week they'll actually paint that. They'll have to decide what their silhouette is going to be. So they have also some brainstorming and kind of working through what their subject is going to be, what the composition is going to be, because they will decide what's in their silhouette. All right. I think that's everything for multimedia. Let's talk about creative explorations. So they switched to December stations, right? So we've left behind all of the inking and Vincent Van Gogh stations, and we've moved on to watercolor for our creative explorations. Their media table will have watercolor technique pages on it, as well as some of the add-ins. I mentioned that our preschoolers in their first step are adding salt to their watercolors. There are other things you can, I feel like I'm in the way. Here we go. There are other things that you can add into your watercolors, like isopropyl alcohol, that also do our saran wrap, laying saran wrap on top and letting it dry, that create different techniques and textures to watercolor painting. Their artist focus is Georgia O'Keeffe, because she does such a beautiful job with her gradients of colors, both in her landscapes and in her florals. She's not a watercolor artist, but her paintings kind of have that effect to them. The journal prompts are winter landscapes. Our vertical surface collaborative mural, to get up and on our feet, is a tree mural for holiday-ish stuff. We've got a cloud dough, so it's made of flour and baby oil, and so it's packable like wet sand is, but it's not wet, and it smells like spices because we use the thieves oil to scent it. So that's our sensory bin. It's the same one that our preschool classes are using this month. And then our still life is, right now it's ornaments, but as we get into the month, we'll have greenery here. So we don't have that yet, real evergreen boughs. It's a weird word. I had it in the staff meeting and I said it over and over, and I'm like, that's a really weird word, evergreen boughs. So I got to go to Family Tree Nursery and pick some of those up our drawing classes are going to be using them for still life. So once we have those in the studio, we'll switch it out with our creative exploration still life as well. All right, drawing 101 classes. All right, I make sure that I've got my notes because this is where we're gonna. I'm not gonna try to split my camera, you guys, because that didn't go well last time. So I'm just gonna hold it up for you. So drawing 101, we're gonna warm up with some pattern drawing. So if you remember our multimedia parts of the video from last month, we did all these really great patterns. These are some of the simple ones that we have. You can also come up with their own. We have some really complex sheets as well. So we're going to warm up with pattern drawing, getting our brains working. And then for class, we're going to design ornaments. And rather than working on paper, we're going to work on, this is called tooling foil. It's a really thin gauge metal foil. It's heavier duty than like your aluminum foil that you have in your kitchen, but not by much. So the tooling foil is really easy for us to emboss, and we can emboss it with either we got some stylus tools like metal stylus. This is a wooden stylus. You can also just use pencil, which is what I'm going to use today. In order to emboss it, we found it's easiest to do it on a piece of felt. So I'm going to actually clip mine onto the felt, and I'll show you what this looks like. It's a really fun way to draw because you can draw dimensionally. So the kids will design their own ornaments. We're going to encourage them to draw nice and big. Looks like a, what does that look like? Like a garlic bulb. When I push on it, it's not necessarily leaving a pencil mark as much as it's leaving an indentation into the metal because we're on this nice soft felt. But then they'll get to add, this is where the patterns come in. We're going to encourage them to add their drawing quickly so you don't have to sit here and watch me. But we'll encourage them to add their patterns to their ornaments. This is so fun, you guys. And I'm going to show you what the back of it looks like too, because what's cool is when I'm pushing down on the metal here, it's like it's pressing out on the backside. So let me get a few more things on here. I'm going to put some swirl designs on the top. And I love coming up with fun ways for our youngest drawers to explore mark making and drawing and keeping it new and novel. That's one of our goals for the 101 class that we had this year. We felt like we kind of got away from that. And for our younger drawers, we were maybe, I don't want to say we were expecting too much of them, but we were expecting things beyond their skill set because we had such a big age range. Remember, this is our first year. We've had 3 levels of drawing. By pulling out our biggest kids, we're able to really focus on the younger ones. Because I never want anyone to feel like they come to an art class and they're discouraged, right? I want them to be encouraged. I'm going to pull this off, show you. This is my little ornament. And then on the back side, it's like popped out the other way. So they'll get to make these. We'll actually give them scissors and let them cut them out, and then they'll collage all their ornaments into their journals. And we should have a really fun composition. The tooling foil can be colored. I don't know if they will have time today. Like I said, when we design new lessons, I don't really know how long. You know, if they think it's lame and they don't do much drawing on it, we'll have time to color them. But if they really love drawing in their ornaments, and that fills up a lot of time, they may not have time to add color. The best way to color the metal tooling foil is with Sharpie markers and isopropyl alcohol because it turns the Sharpie markers into basically alcohol inks. So here's my ornament that I could collage into my journal and make a composition of Christmas ornaments. So a lot of patterning. If we don't get to coloring them today or this week in class, we always have time in those wildcard weeks where they can go back to drawings that they've been working on and continue on those or add things or do the second step. So that's our drawing 101 class. I'm going to clean up my space a little bit, flip my slideshow, take a drink of coffee. Drawing 102s. So my comic and cartoons for the first semester, which is right where we're in, right? We're at the tail end of our fall semester, our first semester. they focused really heavily on the parts of a character. What we want to give them is a library of features that help them to create their own original characters. We don't want them drawing characters from video games or characters from TV or characters. That's fine, but ultimately we want them creating their own. And so we have to give them all these like eyeballs and all these noses, all these mouths, right? We have to teach them the armature that all of that goes on, the bodies and the heads, that kind of stuff. So this week, or this month, we're wrapping up kind of that piece. Next semester, it's less about the character and more about the story, the composition, the inking techniques, the like writing, the words that you have to put in it, lettering, I should say, is better than words, lettering and different things. So this is the end of our like comic character, cartoon character lessons. We're going to wrap it up with, this week is hair. So all types of hair and hairstyles, as well as facial hair. Then they'll do hands, and then they'll do feet. And that'll be the end of it. By then, they should have an entire like sketchbook full of 20 different types of hands, 20 different types of feet, 20 different eyeballs, 20 different noses, like that they can reference and look back for when they do their character creation. I think that's it for comic people that I have. Yeah. So next semester is all about putting it together. I've had some people ask if it's a repeat. It's not. We don't repeat lessons until next fall. So we're just continuing on for the next semester. All right. 102 Advanced Realistic. They are doing, remember, they always draw from photograph, they draw from life, and they draw from imagination. So we're going to start with our photograph one first. And they are photographs of Christmas ornaments. So I found them on Canva. They have a lot of reflective surfaces, which is tricky. So they're going to be drawing that, and they're going to use colored pencils too. My drawing 103s. So these are project-based classes. Drawing 101 are very exploratory. Drawing 102 are very lesson-based. And then your drawing 103 is a project-based class. They're going to work 4 weeks to create a project. There are many lessons throughout, but ultimately, most of the class time is spent working on your project. So I've got this one here. This is an example of what our 103 Advanced Realistic are going to be working on. They're going to be using a new media. They're going to use oil pastels, and they're going to be designing, their challenge anyway, is a stack of boxes wrapped or patterned from a worm's eye view. That's their challenge. So we don't want to be above it. We want to be down below it, like we're like laying on the floor and looking at a stack of presents. So they're gonna have to follow the rules of perspective on this one. They can warp it a little bit if they want to, but because that gives it, like this one here is a little bit fish-eyed. Is that right? The fish-eye. I don't know concave, convex, but it's a little bit warped for like effect. But they'll decide all of that and create their composition. My 103 comic classes are creating a 3-panel. I'm going to read this right because Grace set this up. Okay, so their challenge is to draw a silent 3-panel comic that shows the passage of time between 2 characters. So something needs to happen in those 3 panels. They can't use words. So we're excited to see what they come up with. I know this week, of course, both classes are going to be doing a lot of brainstorming, sketching, but in the comic class, they'll have a mini lesson in setting up their panels. So, yay, rulers. All right, a couple of housekeeping notes. First and foremost, and the one everybody wants to know about, is the holiday schedule. I did not create a calendar graphic for you. So visualize with me a December calendar. Okay. If you are in Creative Explorations, 3-time-a-month class, Preschool Fundamentals or Toddlers, those are all 3-time-a-month classes. You guys will get all of your classes in before Christmas. Christmas is on a Monday, guys. So just so you can have a picture of that in your brain. Get out your calendar if you need it. So if you're in those Creative Explorations, Preschool, Toddler, you don't have to worry about Christmas at all. you just meet the first three whatevers, Thursdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, whatever it is. You just meet the first three and then you're done. We'll see you in January. We'll talk about registration. Don't forget to sign up. But if you are in the drawing or the multimedia classes, you guys meet 4 times, which means in order to get you your 4th class, we have to meet the week of Christmas and New Year's. Remember that like week in between, that weird week where nobody knows what day it is. Okay. So that's the week. In the past, we've done normal evening classes during that week. And during the daytime, we've done holiday break camp. This year, we're going to try something new. And if we don't like it, we'll go back to the old way. But let's give it a shot. Why not, right? So we're going to try something new. We're going to take that 4th class. And rather than doing it in the evening time during the week of Christmas and New Year's, we're going to put it during the day as an open studio. So the open studios are on the let me get this right. Wednesday the 27th, Thursday the 28th. They are during the day between the hours of 11 and 3, and you pick your time slot. So if you want to come in at Thursday at 2 o'clock, you can do that. You want to come in at Tuesday at 11 o'clock, you can do that. We're just looking for you to get your 4th class. Now, what's going to happen during that day? We're going to have 4 instructors, maybe more in the studio. So we got plenty of hands. We want to make sure that you finish your December project. Hopefully we've got it done before Christmas, but if we didn't, we'll finish it during that open studio time. We'll have stations set up. Something like this is a wonderful station to explore. We'll have hot chocolate, and we invite everybody to wear their pajamas. So it's just a cozy time to hang out in the studio and finish up projects and enjoy each other's company. Okay. It is only open. You guys, my poor voice. It was a long weekend of yelling at football players, but okay. We have I forgot where I was going with this. I'm sure there was something important. But anyways, so there's a sign-up sheet for you guys to tell us when you're coming, because we want to know. And I'm going to have that in the video link. I will also post it in our private Facebook group. We'll also have handouts starting next week, not this week, but next week in our December classes for the kids to take home. Okay. Now, if you can't come because you're on vacation or you're traveling or you've got Christmas plans or they're already signed up for another camp somewhere else, that's okay. It's one reason why we wrap the projects before Christmas is because we know we're going to have a million absences that week. And so let's make it easy on ourselves. So it is a class that you do not need to make up. If you you really can't, because unless you didn't finish your project, there's no lesson for you to make up. It's just studio time. And we want to make sure that for those of you who can make it, that we're providing that time for you. So there's no makeup for these classes if you miss them. If you miss, like, obviously some of the classes in December, we want to make sure you get those made up because we want to make sure you get your lessons and your projects. But this week between Christmas and New Year's, there's that open studio doesn't have a lesson or a project. It's just fun. Okay. It's only for enrolled students. So that's one of the reasons why we're not publishing. That's what I was going to say. That's why we're not publishing the link. So you won't find it on our website, because then I end up with people who aren't in classes signing up for a free open studio. And that's an awkward conversation that Miss Allison doesn't need to have. Okay. So it's really only for you guys. It's not bring a friend. It's just for our enrolled students to come in. All right. Like I said, I'll get those RSVP links out. There really isn't a deadline. We're staffed either way. There will be a limit to the number that we can take in each slot, because we can't have 75 people come at one time. That's ridiculous. I don't think it'll be a problem. In the past, our art and PJ nights that we've done have been really, really low. So I don't think that we're gonna go over there and try to get a time slot and it's gonna be full. I don't think that'll be a problem. We'll see. I do have Tuesday the 26th blocked off, that if we have to, we'll put some times in there. So if we find out that the noon time slot is a time slot everybody wants, then we can go ahead and drop like a time slot. I don't know if it would be noon or whatever. We can go ahead and drop that on a Tuesday, right? Or we can extend it on a Wednesday. I don't know. I don't know how it'll work out, but just so you know, like there are more times that we can add, but these are the ones I blocked off. Okay. All right. Let's check my notes. If you have questions about that, let me know. Here we go. Makeups, just a reminder, we're in that season of Christmas programs and holiday concerts and orchestra concerts, and you're traveling for Christmas and Thanksgiving or whatever or not Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, whatever you got going on, the makeups are there for you. Okay. So if you miss something in the first 3 weeks of December, come on in, get your lesson. And if you can't get it done, because I know December is just chock full of stuff. If you can't get it done, you can come in January. It's okay. Right? So you say you're in a drawing 101 class and you're going to miss this week. It's okay. You can come in January and do this lesson. It's kind of weird to do Christmas ornaments in January, but I don't think kids mind it. Okay. I'm in the way. All right. Just a reminder, we're going to talk about it every single time in this video. Make sure you sign up for your 2024 classes. I'm out of focus again. What are you going to do? Because if you don't sign up, you don't have a class. You got to sign up. It's not auto-enrolled to the next semester. Okay. If you have questions, let me know. All right, you guys, that's all I have today. So don't forget, sign up for your, if you know your schedule, go ahead and sign up for your Art and PJs and Hot Cocoa Open Studio days that week between Christmas. Make sure you sign up for your 2024 classes and then let me know if you have any questions about any of that stuff. And I will see you guys in the studio.